Hello and welcome to Mystic Visions with DrShiny. This is a monthly tarot card reading for Sagittarius for the month of March. And please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are a subscriber, I would be very happy to draw some extra cards at the end specifically for you. And just let me know in the comments if that's something that you would be interested in. So let's go ahead and get started for Sagittarius. Okay. Okay, Sagittarius. What we have for you today is, let me get that out of the way just a little bit there. Okay. What we have for you today is the Judgment card. So this typically will represent maybe like the end of some particular effort, like you've been trying to do something or trying to accomplish something, and it's coming to a close. It's time for it, the results to be seen. It can also mean that you're in a position where it's very necessary for you to make a decision that's not just based on logic, but also that takes your kind of life experience into account. So a lot of times this means that logic itself is just not enough, that you have to also think about where have you been in the past, where is this going to go. So, you might think, I don't know, maybe you're in a somewhat bad relationship with a person and you think to yourself, well, I should probably leave this person, or they're not treating me very well, but I believe in second chances or giving people another shot, that type of thing, and so you keep going back, right? But now it's time for you to think about how many times in the past has that served you, or is it time now to actually stand up for yourself, or in some way. And I'm making it a little bit specific there, but remember, this is a general reading, so that's just an example. That doesn't necessarily apply to you. More generally, it's necessary right now for you not just to follow your head and logic and all that, but to also think about how this has affected you in the past. There's some very valuable life experience that you need to pay attention here. Don't take it for granted, or don't just cast it aside, okay? Now, what is crossing you is the Three of Swords, which indicates, generally some either regret or heartbreak, or some, not feeling a little bit down, or some negative emotions. So this can kind of cloud your judgment if you are not in the happiest place. And so the way that you have to navigate this situation is to, first of all, remember that these feelings that you're having, these negative feelings, are temporary. They're not going to be there forever. There is more to life. There's more for you to experience. That the full extent of your happiness, the full extent of your life is not wrapped up in this one scenario. This is just one little thing that's going to, and it might feel like a huge thing to you. So it may feel like I'm like trying to minimize it, but really step back and look at, in the grand scheme of things, is this really all there is? Of course it's not. There's more. So kind of think about it that way, and give yourself some perspective. Anyway. So what you're moving away from here is this Five of Wands in the reverse, and this is, not being competitive, or not, the Five of Wands in the upright, these people are kind of struggling to get what's best for them each. But, they can be kind of competitive or working toward the same goals. And so they're, trying to beat each other down in order to get one up on each other. And in the reverse here, it could mean kind of not standing up for yourself, or not trying to compete with others, or if not compete, just not putting your hat in the ring, right? You've been a little bit more passive, allowing others to possibly get what they want, but you're not putting a whole lot of effort into getting what you want. And you're moving away from that now. You're kind of taking a new direction. You're standing up for yourself a little bit more, and you're having to recognize, what's best for you and what you want, and not just for other people. Okay, so the direction you're moving toward is the Emperor in the reverse. Now, the Emperor in the reverse is sometimes a little bit of like an overbearing energy, or a little bit too authoritative. So it seems like you're kind of going from one extreme to the other here. A lot of times this happens if you've been bottling something up or not allowing yourself to be really authentic all the time. So this indicates that there's like there's definitely some kind of suppression going on. And so there's a lesson to be learned here, because if you bottle emotions up all the time, they tend to get more and more intense. Whereas if you kind of flow with them and let them inform your action on a sort of moment-to-moment basis, or stay in the present instead of, just constantly denying what you're feeling, then it's not quite as intense and robust, but you also, it affects every little decision you make. So you don't end up in situations that are quite so disagreeable. Whereas if you put up with something, you're teaching other people around you how to treat you. And so they're gradually just going to take more and more and more. And so you have to kind of change the way that, and small changes will kind of, accumulate really quick, where just simply putting in somebody's head that you're not going to take any crap, that you're going to look out for yourself, they start looking elsewhere for who they can take advantage of. But again, if this is something that you have not been doing, and you've been sort of suppressing or stamping down some feelings, then they can have a tendency to come out in a really extreme outburst. It's not always a bad thing, though. I'm especially experienced with this particular thing I'm talking about here, and let me tell you, I've learned not to do it anymore, because it's easier just to kind of be honest from the beginning. But if you're not honest and you let these things just sort of marinate and fester, they come out pretty violently. So, if this is what's going on here, this future is not set in stone. You have free will, and you're able to change the situation if you really choose to. But if this is what's going on here, know that to prevent this kind of thing from happening in the future, you just have to be honest, is all it is. You have to, if you're feeling like somebody's upsetting you or making you feel some type of way, tell them, and you don't have to be rude. You can find a tactful way to stand up for yourself, but you got to find that line between being rude and sticking up for yourself. Now, the Foundation card here at the bottom is the Devil, and the Foundation represents kind of what is the universe trying to teach you through this situation? What is the lesson to be learned here? And in this case, it's the Devil, which means that a lot of times what we don't realize is that we're kind of controlled by some particular desire, and it's very tricky. There's a reason the devil's the devil, right? He's often portrayed with horns and fire and all this that makes it look really obvious, but in your day-to-day life, it doesn't look obvious at all. So most people, I find in today's society, most people really want to be a good person. But if you listen really carefully to what I just said there, wanting to be a good person, that's desire, right? So whereas, you think of desire as like, I want to be rich, or I want to have, everything I want, I want to be famous. But it's also very much a desire for you to, want to be a good person, or to feel good about yourself and what you've done. And that's also a desire that can be used to control you. People can take advantage of whatever your desires are. So there's a way of sort of purifying your desire, even to be good, which doesn't make you bad. I know you might feel that way, like, oh, well, I want to be good. Well, now you're desiring to desire, right? So it's kind of a negative feedback loop that occurs there, but you have to be able to make that subside. And the advice that I would give you to make that happen is meditation, which is kind of like freeing yourself of thoughts in general and just not acting, but just sort of like allowing yourself to witness and observe what's going on around you without action. Now, the crowning thoughts that you have here is the Page of Coins, and it's in the reverse. So this is what's on your mind. This is what you've been thinking about a little bit more. And with the Page of Coins here, it's kind of like a start on the journey of mastery of the material or the financial realm, but he's really kind of a beginner at this. He's a neophyte. But now in the reverse, what you have here is like a little bit of a resistance to do things for yourself, maybe, or to get things off the ground, to starting your own business or taking care of yourself financially. There's a little resistance to that. You don't want to do that. You want maybe there's a little bit of laziness involved, or maybe you've had it easy in the past and you're not trying to go away from that situation. What we have for your advice is the Nine of Swords in the reverse. And this kind of, this is saying that anxiety is basically it's a self-fulfilling thing. It's something that you're doing to yourself. You're being afraid because you're afraid. It's not necessarily that the fear has a distinct cause or something, but there may be like, thoughts racing through your head that you're hypothesizing, hypotheticals. So this isn't something that's real necessarily or tangible. It's not like you're running from like a wolf or something that's like literally about to get you, but you have these ideas in your head about how it might go, and they're just ideas. It's not necessarily going to go that way, but it's kind of plaguing you. It's making you feel a little bit anxious, right? And so that's your advice is to remember that not everything is going to go exactly the way that you plan, and that's a good thing as well as a bad thing. We say that to mean things are unpredictable and it's going to turn out differently than you think it will, but that is also a good thing because it can also turn out better than you think it will. Your environment is the Two of Coins, and this is a need to sort of balance the work-life thing. Having not a lot of time for anything else, but having to, basically spend all your time going back and forth between one thing and the other. Now, this is not necessarily you. This is your environment. So this is what's going on around you. The people around you may be very busy with that kind of thing. It could be causing some stress or some, negative, abrasive emotions and things like that, which might be sort of the source of what's going on. However, if a person is not willing to sort of drop one of those balls and to balance their life better, you can't make them do that unless you essentially show them that they have to balance those things better in some tangible, real way. You can't just tell them. They're not going to listen to you. They're doing what they think they have to do anyway. And the other thing is, this is not necessarily a thing that you want to interrupt, because sometimes they've just made this juggling act that they have more of a priority. And so if they haven't made you a priority in there, then it sometimes is better for you to walk away from that situation, and that'll teach them to prioritize people better. It may not be you in the future, but at least they'll learn, how to do that for somebody else, which is really a great gift for you to give them if you love them. So what we have for your fears card, you have the King of Wands here in the reverse. So this is like, you're not wanting to be over encumbered with work all the time. You're not wanting to have to do things all the time, or you've kind of fallen out of love with the idea of work. Meaning, you're trying to make things a little bit more fun. You're not having a whole lot of fun, possibly, or if you are, you just want more of it. You're trying to get rid of some of the more negative aspects of life and feel good and happy and positive, and that's totally understandable. I wouldn't say that there's anything necessarily wrong with that, having that in your fears, but there is a time for everything. And so once you do feel like you have a good foundation and you're peaceful and at rest, that's when you can kind of focus more on that doing energy, on that acting. Because what you're going to find is that if you have that rested, calm center, everything that you try to do comes off better. It doesn't, you don't make as many mistakes. You don't have as many missteps. So one thing at a time. Your overall message here is the strength card. That's this one right here. So the strength is not so much about like muscular strength or physical strength. This is more about willpower. And you can see there's always a young, delicate girl who's caressing a lion or some beast like that. And the beast really could eat her. He could tear her to shreds very easily. But he doesn't do that because she has a very calm, steadfast demeanor. The lion is used to everything being afraid of it. And that's really all it needs to know that you're prey. If you're afraid of that lion, and he can detect that, he knows that you're prey, and he's going to come get you. But by simply not being afraid and having that really strong inner willpower, the lion doesn't detect any fear in her, and so he doesn't see her as prey. He is almost hypnotized by her, right? And there are multiple meanings to this in the context of this reading, okay? First of all, this is possibly already a factor, something that you have within you, because if you're finding yourself in a situation where you're around a lion like that who's attracted to you, that's what he's attracted to. He's attracted to the fact that you don't seem to be afraid of him, okay? And so that can be a good thing and a bad thing, because while it seems great for her in that situation right there, would she want to be around that lion all the time is the question. So there is some benefits and drawbacks to that, to attracting the more beastly types of people. But I have seen, with this devil and being chained by desire and heartache and not wanting to stand up for yourself, it could be that there is a predator who is, he's taking advantage of you, or he is waiting for the right moment to actually devour you. So be careful with that. Now, on the other hand, this also can mean that you're learning this strength through this situation, that this is teaching you a tremendous amount of inner willpower and how to stick up for yourself and be very self-confident, right? So whichever of those applies more accurately to your situation, go ahead and take that. And I don't know if I already mentioned it at the beginning of the video or not, but if you are a subscriber, I would be very happy to pull some additional cards for you to give you some more clarification. But that's about it for this reading for today. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next month with your next reading. Bye-bye.